What's going on, guys? It's the Bigs Podcast, episode number 169. And today we're going to talk about our 2025 third base rankings. Full house again here this evening as we enjoy three co-hosts on the show with me today. Starting off with Frank Bucco. Frank, how you feeling this evening, my friend?
I'm feeling great. Again, love being here talking baseball with you guys, especially talking third base. One of my favorite positions. So yeah, let's get it going.
Let's get this party started. Mike Haber dealing with COVID symptoms, but here with us this evening. Mike, how you feeling?
I am on the rise, on the upswing, starting to feel a little bit better. I also love when you point, you're like not pointing at the right person, but that's just my perspective. Just want to tell you that, Joe. That's all.
All
Yeah,
right.
you're pointing.
thanks for having me.
We're not far.
I'm very happy to be here.
All right. We appreciate you being here under the weather. And from Denver, Colorado, we have Jason Ashby. Jason, how are you feeling about third base this year, my friend?
It's an interesting position this year. In the past, there's been we've talked about like 6 or 7 guys that and then after that, it's like there's nobody. I feel like it's a little bit wider this year. It definitely does. There is a bit of a cliff, but I think the cliff is a little bit further down, this year. So, I feel a little bit comfortable kind of waiting on a third baseman maybe this year and kind of, picking and choosing, the other positions as I need fit.
Yeah, there was a time where it was an exploding volcano and there were only a few ways off. Now it feels like a nice dormant mountain that you can climb and just pick your spot. Let's dive into this thing. We have 19 names that we agreed on out of the 25 we each gave. So we want to talk about each one of them. There will be a couple that we skip over because people have multiple position eligibility. We've already hit on them a couple of times. But the number one third baseman is the consensus number one. He is probably a top 5 draft pick this year. It is Jose Ramirez of the Cleveland Guardians. Frank, I'll go to you first here and I'll ask you, how do you feel about spending a top 5 draft pick in Jose Ramirez this year?
I would be more than happy to do that. Just based on year over year production. I mean, this guy's a beast. Like, he just does it all. I mean, 39 homers last year, 118 RBIs, walk to strikeout ratio is excellent, 41 steals, 279 to 335. I'll take that all day in the top 5.
Yeah, he has been an absolute monster in the last few years. It was on Jay Ferraro's finals team last year. Took him with the number 13 pick. Mike Haber, was there ever a question of whether or not Jose Ramirez was number one at this position?
No, definitely not. 40-40 threat and is the only one that's this balanced at this position. And like when I think of third base, I don't really think of balance. I don't think of power speed combo, but if you can get it, I think it's worth the top 5 pick this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Jason, he had 39 homers, 39 doubles, and 41 steals. So I'll go ahead and ask you, over or under 80 home runs plus stolen bases this year?
Yeah, I could see the over. I could. I don't think we're at a point where he's going to slow down. Say what you will about the Cleveland offense. For a guy like this, it doesn't really matter. He scored 114 runs last year, and the team, other than not having Josh Naylor, the team is pretty much the same. So yeah, I think I would take the over on that, and I think he's going to have another just excellent season.
My only concern is that subtraction of Josh Naylor. I think the addition of Carlos Santana in his place is a bit of a step down. We did see over 100 RBIs from Josh Naylor last year. I don't think Carlos Santana is going to put that up, but I'm sure Ben Nisman would love to see that. Our number 2 third baseman is Vladimir Guerrero Jr. He is the consensus number 2, and we talked about him in the first base show. So if you want to go back and listen to that, go ahead, because we talked quite a bit about Vlad, and he's going to be another first-round pick, though I wouldn't expect him to be top 5, probably more toward the back end of the first round. Our number, and that's where we stopped agreeing. We stopped agreeing at that point. So everything else from here on is wide open. And the next 3 names are pretty much in the similar order with one exception. Our number 3 third baseman is my number 4. Frank, you're number 3. Jason has him at 5, and Mike has him at 4. So we all like him in this spot. It's Manny Machado. Jason, I'll start with you here. Manny Machado did have a very nice year last year, 29 and 105 in the homers and RBIs, but he is getting up there in age. He did have 11 steals, which is nice to see. Do you think that we'll see another good season like this out of Machado?
It's funny you mentioned he's getting up near an age. He's the same age as Jose Ramirez, but he has started to show a little bit more wear than Jose Ramirez has. He only played 138 games in 2023. Came back last year for a full season, but didn't even hit 30 home runs. So I think we'll still see a quality season out of him. I just think we might have seen the best out of Machado at this point.
I think I tend to agree there. Mike, you've got him at 4 just like I do. What was the hair split here between him and your number 3?
Yeah, I mean, I guess for me it's kind of like the trajectories of their careers, and I feel like my number 3 is in a better position this year. It hit the guys hitting around him and getting on base. But I do want to say for Machado's sake that having Tatis there for a full season is going to help with some of those production numbers, I believe.
Frank, that brings me to you here about that lineup. You do have Machado at 3. Do you like the Padres lineup going forward?
Yes and no. I mean, not really.
Not really.
Not really.
Tatis and Jackson Merrill seem to be the top
Seem to
2
be it.
there, and Luis Arraez leading off. But after those 4, it seems to drop off quite a bit after that.
It's pretty not good. So I mean, yeah, I like him just based on what he does, and consistently every year. The 30 homer guy, 105 RBIs. The on base percentage has dipped down a little bit, but you could still count on him for 30 and 100 at third base. So
yeah, I think that would be a safe bet, is about 30 and 100, especially in that lineup, so long as he stays healthy. And chipping in 11 steals last year was really nice. I think somewhere around 10 would be nice from him again, but I wouldn't necessarily count on it, as we are seeing him age a little bit less gracefully than someone like Jose Ramirez. Our number 4 third baseman this year was almost a consensus number 3. However, Frank has him at number 7. It's Rafael Devers. Frank, tell me about Rafi Devers and why you've got him at 7.
I see. I don't know. I feel like he's, declining in my opinion.
Okay.
Sure, I'll get a lot of shit for that, but I mean, I also don't like that Boston lineup. I don't like the opportunities. I mean, that he has. I mean, where's he hitting, Jason?
Lester Resource has him hitting second right now.
Second, yeah. Like
I assume it's Jarren Duran at the top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Tristan Casas and Trevor Story.
Ugh.
Yeah, that's not great. That's not a great supporting cast around him. I will say he strikes out more than anybody in the top 5 that we're going to talk about here, and he isn't exactly the greatest fielder at third base either. So those 2 things are certainly things that I know Frank takes into account when making his ranking. So I could see the errors and the strikeouts being a reason you've knocked him down a little bit.
Yeah. I don't like setting a record for errors in a week for in the bigs. I don't really want to do that.
Yeah. Guys, we all have him at number 3 though. Let me go to Mike Haber. Mike, why are we so in love with Rafi Devers here?
I mean, he's an extra base machine. He's 28 years old. I don't think he's in any sort of decline. I just think that he needs to be on a team that has direction and a team that has some sort of winningness to them. Last year was sort of a, you know, step back for Boston. But I think that they're a young team, and I like some of these young guys. I like Willier Abreu. Hopefully, Tristan Casas, for his sake, takes a step forward. I like that catcher that I had added onto my fantasy team like 12 times last year, Connor Wong. Um, and David Hamilton, Rafaela. Like, there's a lot of young guys on this team, and right now on roster resource, it doesn't look pretty with Trevor Story hitting behind him and all that. But I don't think that this is going to be the lineup for the season. They have great pitching this year. I I don't want to sleep on Boston, so I think he's going to have something to play for this year.
Do you think they're going to push the Yankees for the division?
I think they're going to push for a wild card spot.
Okay, fair enough.
I think
Jason,
Baltimore, yeah, will probably be our top
I got you.
competition.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jason, you've got him at 3 as well. What was the hair split here between him and the other guys you've got right here?
Consistency. He's as consistent as it gets. Like, you know what you're getting with Rafi Devers. He, like Mike said, he's an extra base machine. At least 30 doubles each of the last 3 seasons. He's not gonna, he's not no 40-40 threat or anything like that, but he's just solid and consistent. I do like the Red Sox lineup. I think, assuming he is healthy, which he is right now, I I think Trevor Story. I think there's still something left in Trevor Story's bat. So, like, I don't. To me, that's not a red flag yet, until something breaks, which is very possible. But right now, I don't have a problem with him hitting cleanup. And I think there's gonna be guys behind him to drive him in. He's gonna hit doubles, so Casas and Story and Yoshida can drive him in. And so, he scored 87 runs last year. He could hit 100 runs this year.
Interesting. Trevor Story hitting cleanup. That's going to be an interesting little sneak preview for next week when we do shortstop rankings. I'm be interested to see where he ends up in your guys' rankings. Our number 5 third baseman this year is going to be my number 5, Mike's number 5, and Frank and Jason have him at 4. So we've all got these 3 guys in the same area. This is Austin Riley. Frankie had an injury-plagued season for your Atlanta Braves this past year. Tell me about Austin Riley and why you've got him at 4 over somebody like Rafi Devers.
Because he plays for Atlanta.
Fair enough.
I mean, it's a homer pick, but I mean, the problem is, yes, the injury was big. He strikes out a ton, but in 110 games, 118 strikeouts, it's at least almost 1 a game. But you can rely on this guy in that lineup, especially now with Profar hitting second in that lineup. I mean, you can guarantee, or you can rely on, 35 and 95, and out of him. And I mean, honestly, that's what I look for in a third baseman, when I'm drafting. So, and he gets on base at a decent clip. I mean, past 3 years, nothing below a 345 on base. So
there you go. He had a down year this past year because of the injury. We probably just want to sort of chalk that up to a freak accident and draft with confidence this year. Jason, you've also got him at 4. What is the hair split between him and the guy you have at 5 in Manny Machado?
Yeah, the age was a big factor there. And yeah, I think people are kind of down on Riley because of last year. Look, he was injured. He still hit 19 home runs. So, like, it wasn't a lost year or anything like that. He's gonna be back healthy this year. To Frank's point, the addition of Profar in this lineup is a complete game changer. Like, having Profar hitting second versus having Jared Kelenic hitting second is huge. So hitting right in front of Austin Riley. So I think Riley is in line for a big bounce back this year.
Mike Haber, anything to add on this guy?
Just the strikeouts are a little bit troubling. I could see him dropping down next year, but I'm really comfortable with him in the fifth spot right now. We're also not mentioning Acuna possibly coming back too, so that could be a huge piece as well.
No doubt, no doubt. A top two of Acuna and Profar. You could see two guys with 400 on base percentages here. They've got themselves a nice lineup at this point, and Austin Riley's going to hit right in the middle of it. Our number 6
Shut up,
third
Jason.
baseman. Our number 6 third baseman is in fact a free agent at time of recording. He is rumored to be going either to Detroit or maybe Boston or maybe back to Houston. Who knows? But it's Alex Bregman. I've got him at 8. Frank and Jason have him at 6 and Mike at 7. I'll go ahead and address the elephant in the room. I have him at 8 because I fear the move to Detroit. I think that if he lands there, he was going to go even lower for me. And until I see that he's going to go back to the Houston Astros lineup with the Crawford boxes, I'm just probably going to be out on this guy altogether. But I'll go ahead and throw it your way, Jason. Tell me about Alex Bregman and why you've got him at 6.
Again, just another model of consistency. And yes, so I understand he's been, in all those consistent years, he's been part of that Astros dynasty more or less. But he's a safe bet. He's a safe bet for 25 to 30 home runs, 75 to 90 RBIs, and he'll bet you 265. He doesn't hurt you anything. He doesn't strike out at all. So he's as good as it gets. And like even if he moves to Detroit or Boston or somewhere that's not Houston, I don't fear a landing spot for him. So I think he's again, I think he's a good safety net. He plays every day. 145 games last year. I know he was a little banged up, but prior to that, he was a really stable horse. So, yeah, I like the guy.
Frank, you've also got him at 6. I know you're hoping for a return to Houston. Is that right?
Yeah, I would hope. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing him in Detroit, but because I think he might be able to help a lot of those young kids out over there. But yeah, I mean, if he goes back to Houston, I mean, this guy's an on-base machine. I mean, since 2016, he hasn't struck out over 100 times in a season, ever.
Great play.
And
great.
Yeah,
plate discipline.
Yeah, like I mean, 2023, 92 walks to 87 strikeouts. Like those are that's Luis Ariz type shit. And
Yeah.
it's it's good to have, and especially in a position where people are going to jump on the obvious names or or pick what they want. I mean, you can't go wrong with what he does. So
This is a very safe option here.
yes.
Mike Haber, what do you got for Alex Bregman, my friend?
Landing spot's everything for me. The big thing I have separating him and my number 6, who we haven't spoke about yet, is position eligibility, which if Bregman does return to Houston and he gets second base eligibility, he can move up to 6 on my list. But as of right now, where he stands, whether he's a free agent or signs with Detroit and plays third base, he's a safe bet. I agree with you, but I think that my number 6 can do more on the field. He's younger and a little more well-rounded, in my opinion.
Well, let's talk about your number 6 because he is the next guy on our list here. I also have him at 6. Frank has him at number 5. And Jason, you're the low man on this guy. You've got him at 10. It's Jazz Chisholm. Mike, I'll let you talk more about Jazz Chisholm here since you alluded to him just a moment ago.
Yeah, I mean, this guy is going to be our starting second baseman this year, which gives him second, third, and center eligibility, which is something that's a rare combination in position eligibility. Not to mention, he is a 25-40 threat. And like I said earlier with Jose Ramirez, that's rare at third base. So you're getting 3 positions. He's hitting probably in Yankee Stadium for the entire season this year, not splitting his time in Miami, and he's gonna have 3 positions. So I don't think it gets better than that. I have him at 6 right now, but I could see him climbing above Riley too.
Very interesting. Jason, you've got him at 10. Are you fearing an injury here? Is that what
Yeah. I mean, look, he might not, but we've only, he played 147 games last year. That is by far the most he's ever played in a season. So there is concern there. So there's not a lot of consistency in terms of playing time. But yes, if he is healthy and plays to his ability with that eligibility and that lineup around him, yes, I can absolutely see a huge year from him. I'm just being a little cautious because again, there's always a chance for injury with this guy.
where does roster resource have him hitting in the Yankee lineup? Because I feel like it would be in the top 2.
Second, yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Before
Then Anthony
Judge.
Volpe
Yep.
leading off, and then Jazz, and then Judge, and then Goldschmidt.
If Volpe struggles, I could see him being the leadoff hitter too, and that would be even more amazing and just add to a reason to draft this dude. Frank, how are you feeling about Jazz Chisholm in that Yankee lineup this year?
I like it. I like it. I think they can give you 2020. I mean, consistently. I mean, he stole what? Yeah, math. Don't do that. Never mind.
He stole 40 last year.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, don't laugh. It's terrible. Yeah,
I'm just thinking what math you're doing.
I was doing the splits between the teams. Yeah. We all can't be teachers, Mike Haber.
I know, I'm sorry.
No, I do like him. Short porch in right field. And if you can get that production, like Mike said, with the like a Jose Ramirez type of player, I mean, you can't go wrong. So
Yeah,
yep.
no doubt, no doubt. And hitting right in front of Aaron Judge is a very enviable position to be in. He will score a shit ton of runs, I imagine, so long as he stays in that position. But we shall see what the future holds for Jazz. Our number 8 third baseman this year is my number 7, along with Jason's number 7. Frank has him at 9, but Mike Haber, you've got this guy at number 12. What's wrong with Matt Chapman?
Oh, wow. Shocking. Okay. Well, I owned Matt Chapman for part of the year, and he is a streaky player. I don't really trust many hitters in San Francisco. I'm just being honest. They're like the NL of the Tampa Bay Rays. I think you guys know that about me. But I don't know. It's not that I don't like him. He's 12 for me on a list of 25, but I like the 11 guys I have in front of him and their lineups just a little bit better. He's also just streaky. There were times last year where he was very droppable because he went like 0 for or 2 for 45 with a bunch of strikeouts. So, I don't know. I just don't trust him as much.
He does have the most strikeouts of any guy that we've talked about so far last year. He struck out the most, but was top 5 in walks, the top 5 in stolen bases. He chipped in 15 steals last year, which is a career high. And I find it interesting because there weren't many dudes on San Francisco that were running last year. 98 runs scored, 39 doubles, a pretty nice batting average and on base percentage. Not great, but it certainly was serviceable enough. Jason, how are you feeling about Matt Chapman this year?
Yeah, the lineup is definitely a flag. Hitting in front of Lamont Wade Jr. and behind or in front of Tyler Fitzgerald and behind Wade. Like it's not great. And he was kind of playing on this pillow contract right last year where he kind of like they opted him in. So like now he's locked in. So it's not a walk year anymore. Um, but I think he's still a quality hitter. Like Mike said, very streaky, a lot of strikeouts. So I probably have him a little higher than I really want him to be, quite honestly. I probably could like switch him and Jazz. And I could be comfortable with that.
Interesting. Frank, you've got him at number 7, just like I do. You're believing in this big season he had last year, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I've always liked him. I mean, again, the strikeout numbers I don't like, but you know, you're going to get plus defense out of him. So the errors aren't really a thing with him, which, 39 doubles each of the last 2 seasons. No, yes, 39 doubles each of the last 2 seasons. Like 142 hits, 98 runs in a very, very, very sus lineup. I mean, go ahead, you know, do your thing. Like,
Be the guy in San Francisco is what we're
yeah,
boiling this down to. Him and Willie
yeah.
Adames are going to carry that team to wherever they can go. We'll
Mhm.
see. I'm also interested to see where Willie Adames is in everybody's rankings next week as well with the new home in San Francisco.
By the way, Matt Chapman did commit 15 errors last year, so don't give him the Gold Glove just yet. It's not. He was great in Oakland. He was one of the best third baseman fielders in baseball. Since leaving Oakland, he hasn't been terrific.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Our number 9 third baseman is a guy that we tertiarily talked about in the first base show, but I'd really like to dive more into this guy. I've got him at 11, Frank at 13. Jason and Mike, you both have him at 8. It's Mark Vientos. Jason, I'll let you take the floor here on our Mets third baseman, maybe our new Mets first baseman in Mark Vientos.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where he ends up. I know he's taking reps at first base. So is Brett Beatty, apparently. I love the kid. Absolutely love the kid. He looked the part last year. He battled through having to be in the minor leagues twice. And then he came up and like he had what two or three walk-offs. He was part of that culture. He was part of that OMG culture that the Mets were brewing. And at 25 years old, there's no reason why he can't even get better. So I have him at 8, just as kind of as a floor. But I can see him launching up these rankings by the end of the season.
Interesting. I certainly do hope that you're right. I've got some red flags that I will talk about here momentarily. But Mike Haber, I'll let you follow that up with why you like Vientos here at 8.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't even play a full season, really, for the Mets. He had 413 at bats, and he hit almost 30 home runs in that. Just think about what he could do with another 150 at bats in that lineup. So I could see him, getting up there in production, in power. He's got Soto and Lindor now in this lineup. Hopefully, for your sake, he's got a first baseman coming in. Who knows? But I like Mark Vientos. I could see him, like Jason said, like even taking the place of like an Austin Riley down the line, of like a guy that's going to consistently give you like 30 to 35 home runs, 90 to 100 RBIs.
Interesting.
And one thing I'll add real quick is if he is the first baseman, that to me is less demanding of a defensive position than third base. So he won't have to focus quite as much on the defense and can focus more on the offense. So I kind of wonder if being a full-time first baseman would be positive for him on the offensive side.
Frank, you're the low man on Mark Vientos here at 13. Tell me why.
Well, I need to see more. I need to see more. I mean, besides the fact that he's a Met, but I just need to see more. If he played, 111 games is nice. The production, the power production is good. The walk to strikeout ratio not great at all. So I just need to see more out of him and see where he's going to hit, and if the addition of Soto and having Lindor and whatever they do at first base is going to help him. And if they're going to put guys behind him that are going to get on base, and give him the ability to score more runs. Put guys in front of him that are going to get on base, obviously, with the ability for more RBIs. I just need to see more.
I imagine that he's going to be hitting third in the lineup right now as roster resources. You're nodding your head, Jason, so I'll go ahead and say that is an accurate statement. Yeah. I'm with Frank on the strikeout rate, man. 29.7% last year, and he had a 324 average on balls in play, which upped his batting average to 266 from an expected batting average of 248. There are a couple of red flags. They're not big red flags. I'm not worried about the power. I think it's always going to be there. But could I see him hit 230 next year? Sure. Could I see him strike out 170 times over a 500 at bat season? Yeah, I think I could. And for those reasons, I'm a little bit lower on him. I have him at 11. It's not egregious, but I certainly hope I'm wrong and that all of these things progress forward rather than regressing.
Yeah, I mean, look, he was a rookie battling for a job for most of the season, and then then he got the job. So yeah, the strikeouts were high. I'm gonna be optimistic and say that with now a staple in the lineup, he is not going to press as hard, and hopefully the strikeouts won't increase too much. But the concern is legit.
I do also worry that if he is learning a new position, it might take away from what he's trying to work on at the plate, because first base is a demanding position, not as much as third base, but it still is a very important and demanding position to be playing. So let's hope for the best as Mets fans, but I'm cautiously optimistic on Mark Vientos.
Fair.
Our number 10 third baseman is a guy that I think is a lot like Mark Vientos. I think is a guy that if you were to see a full season out of Vientos, maybe you'll see something like Eugenio Suarez that we have at number 10. I've got him at number 12, which is right behind Vientos. Frank has him at 14, right behind Vientos. Jason has him at 9, right behind Vientos. And Mike has him at 11, 3 spots lower. So, Mike, I'm going to go to you first and tell me why Eugenio Suarez is 3 spots lower.
Well, again, I'm looking at like an upside here for if we're splitting hairs between Vientos and Suarez.
Sure.
I've seen the early years of Suarez. I've seen him hit the 50 home runs. I've also seen him with the 200 plus strikeout seasons. So like he's had very, very high highs, but also very low lows. Like I don't even think he was rosterable a few years ago in our league. But maybe the move to Arizona is a nice resurgence for him. He's got, a better ballpark. He's got guys hitting around him. So I like him. I don't dislike Suarez, but as far as like the strikeouts go, I think Vientos is young enough where he can make those adjustments, especially in his second season. Whereas Suarez, he's going to swing as hard as he freaking can every time he's up and try to hit a home run and probably strike out 185 times.
Yeah, he's a right-handed Josh Naylor. He's gonna swing as hard as he can, hit 30 bombs, drive in close to 100. Last year he scored 90 runs, which is pretty amazing to think about and the Diamondbacks did have one of the best offenses in baseball last year. So he's certainly a safe option here. It's just the strikeouts for me, man. 27.5% of the time he struck out last year, and that's certainly going to stick. Jason, you're the high guy on him. You've got him at 9. Tell me why.
Yeah, 30 and 100. Those are the kind of numbers you want from a power position like a third base. Yes, we know he's going to strike out a ton, but so is Austin Riley, and you can get Suarez a little bit on the discount probably than an Austin Riley. And I think you look at the numbers are pretty similar between the two of them. Yes, there was a few years ago where he was like done. It looked like he was cooked, but he came back last year and he looked really good. Played 158 games. He's in there every day. Roster Resource has him hitting 6th right now. I could see a world in where he moves up to 4th and kick Lourdes Gurriel out of the cleanup spot. And maybe he had another back-to-back 100 RBI season. But I like him. Again, you're gonna like if you compare him with Luis Arias, the strikeouts become negatable.
That's a good point. Frank, you're low on Eugenio Suarez at 14. Are you not believing in the D-backs this year, or you just don't believe in him personally?
I believe in the D-backs lineup. I don't think it's nearly as good as what it was. Losing Christian Walker and just that in general. I've again, 30 and 101 is nice, but a 319 on base and a 256 batting average, you know, if I need a third baseman late, yeah, sure. Why not? But, you know, that's about it.
Yeah. Okay, so we move on to our number 11 third baseman. He is my number 9. Frank and Jason both have him at 15, and Mike has him at 10. So Mike and I are pretty close on Max Muncy, but Frank and Jason are lower on him. I'm going to start with Frank. I know you don't like this dude, and he's a member of the dreaded Los Angeles Dodgers. What don't you like about Max Muncy this year?
Don't I like about Max Muncy in general? He's a crybaby. But no, I mean he is. I'm sorry. But it reminds me a lot of Kyle Schwarber.
Mhm.
And yeah, I drafted Schwarber 2 years ago, or a year ago, or whatever it was. I don't know. The on base percentage is nice,
Mhm.
but that's where it stops for me. I mean, he needs to stay healthy.
Mhm.
We'll say that. I mean, he only played 73 games last year. Uh, you know, he scores runs. I mean, but how do you not in that Dodger lineup? Yeah, I just think it's more of a. I don't know. I just don't like him.
Jason, what are you seeing here? What are we missing here at having him in the top 10?
Yeah, he's 34. The injuries have already been a problem for him. I don't know that that's going to get any, much better. He only played 73 games last year. I know that killed Ben. Um, and when he did play, I mean, he hit 232. Yes, that 358 on base is terrific, but he hit 232. Um, I don't know. I've never really been a huge fan of his. I know the lineup. I know he's in a golden spot that anybody should want to be in. I don't know. There's just flags for me that just don't make me feel comfortable about him.
Mike Haber, we saw Max Muncy play about half a season last year, 15 homers, 48 RBIs, 47 runs scored. You extrapolate that out over a whole season, you got a 30 and 100 and 100 guy. Is that what you're seeing?
That's what I'm seeing. And to me, he is the lefty Eugenio Suarez in a better lineup, which is why I have him 10 and Suarez 11. I think they're the same player. They're the same style player. The only difference, the only edge I can give to Suarez is I think Muncy's a bit more injury prone. Other than that, if he's hitting and dodging with that lineup this year, like how can he not score 100 runs, knock in 90 RBIs? So
Yeah. Yeah, I'm in on Max Muncy this year. I think he's the sleeper in that lineup that you could get later on than the big star names that you have to pay a very big premium to get. I think this is a great spot for him, and I would be happy to have him and that great on base percentage in the middle of my lineup. We move on to the number 12 third baseman. He is Frank's number 10, Mike's number 9. Jason, you've got him at 13, and I've got him at 17. I'm out on Royce Lewis this year. I am done with this dude. Okay. I was out on him last year, and he got hurt again. I'm out on this dude. Tell me why I'm wrong, Jason Ashby.
Look, I have to assume health until health is reported to be a problem. And right now he's healthy. And when he was healthy last year, he was my best player, like aside from Lindor. He was just on fire. Every time he was at the plate, he hit a home run. Then he, went ahead and tore ACLs or hamstrings or whatever the hell. But if he's healthy, like at 26 years old, like give me a full season out of him, and yeah, I think he's a real good sleeper pick. And there's talks about him maybe getting second base eligibility, which would help too. I have him at 13, so like I'm not super high on him, but I'm certainly not out on him either.
Yeah, I've got him at 17. I am out. I'm absolutely out because this dude can't stay healthy. And even when he was healthy, he hit 233 with a 295 on base percentage. Mike Haber, defend your number 9.
Uh, just another young guy with a lot of promise who, when he was fully healthy for the half season that he played, he did nothing but produce. You have to assume last year, if he did hit that low, he was playing injured potentially. The year before that, when he was healthy, he was doing everything. He was hitting home for power. He was running a little bit. He was getting on base at a 370 clip. Obviously, I want to see more, but I just like the ceiling. I like the promise that this guy brings. That's why for me, it's like a Mark Vientos. He and Mark Vientos package, just because I want to see more. But I like his youth and his like approach at the plate.
Frank, the Minnesota Twins were a disappointing team missing the playoffs in a division where 3 teams made it and they did not. Do you like this lineup with Royce Lewis if he were to stay healthy?
No, I don't. No, I don't. But I like him. I mean, again, health notwithstanding, I mean, in 217 at bats in 23, hit 309 with a 372 on base. Like, that's just ridiculous. I mean, in 58 games, he doesn't it doesn't look like he walks much, but I mean, even in 82 games, 28 to 74 on the walk to strikeout ratio is still serviceable, still good. I like him. I think he's going to be really good. And somebody in that Minnesota lineup has to do something besides Carlos Correa, who's a certified cheater. I like him a lot. That's why he's at 10 for me.
Real quick, if we compare for a second, if we take his 23 and 24 season, it's 140 games, 31 homers, 99 RBIs, a 265 with a 328. You look at Max Muncy's 2023, 135 games, 36 home runs, 105 RBIs, a 212 and a 330. And Royce Lewis is younger. So if we're assuming health, I take Royce Lewis over Max Muncy.
But we can't assume health with this guy because he's never been healthy.
But you can't assume health with anyone.
It's true.
True.
It's true.
So I'm going they're healthy until they're proven not.
And I'm going this dude's injury prone until he puts up a full season.
Fair enough.
And we'll move on to our number 13. And this is an interesting one because I have him at number 10. Frank has him at number 12. Mike and Jason are out on this guy. They've got him number 16 apiece. It's Alec Bohm. Frank, I'll start with you here. How do you feel about Alec Bohm in 2025?
I like Alec Bohm. I mean, again, he's a product of the lineup he hits in. And, that Philly lineup is really good. I mean, it's not terrible with Harper and Trey Turner and Schwarber and those guys. You're getting opportunities. And this kid's a machine when it comes to extra base hits, in terms of like doubles. I mean, 44 doubles last year. Okay, yes, please. 15 and 97. Good walk to strikeout ratio, about 1-to-1 or 1-to-2. A 280 and a 332. I'll take that all day, especially most likely at a round discount. Yeah, I'll take that all day. Like, please. And he has first base eligibility as well.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you, man. I think this guy is being criminally underrated for a good season and a good couple of seasons now. A 280 batting average with a 14% strikeout rate and 97 RBIs this past year. Yeah, I think I'm in on Alec Bohm. Gentlemen, you both have him at 16. What is wrong with Alec Bohm other than him being a Philly, Jason?
That's what it is. No, you make good points, and I probably can move him up to 15 ahead of Max Muncy, but I just like the guys that I have ahead of him better. To paraphrase from Mike, you're right. Again, just like Muncy, he's in a great spot that everybody would love to be in. The numbers are there. I don't know. There's just something about him that, and I think we mentioned it even on the first base show too. I had him at 19 on, as a first baseman. Like, just something about him just doesn't jive well with what I look for as a third baseman.
Mike
His
Haber,
long
you're
flowing
not.
hair, Jason.
I tend to agree with exactly what Jason just said. With it, there's something about him, some intangible. And I also want to speak to the fact that I don't really love the bottom of the Phillies lineup. I don't. I love that. I like the top of their lineup. I think they'll get on base, and I think Harper will drive them in. But after that, I mean, you've got a JT Realmuto that I think is trending in the wrong direction. Then who else we have?
Nick
Max Kepler,
Castellanos.
Nick
Max Kepler.
Castellanos. Yeah, I'm not really a big fan of those guys as much as the top of the lineup.
Right now, the lineup is Schwarber, Turner, Harper, Castellanos, Alec Boehm, Max Kepler, JT Realmuto, Brandon Marsh, and Bryson Stott. So, yeah, I feel like it's also very top heavy.
I feel like all those guys are rosterable, though. I feel like each one of them brings something to the table that you should be able to have on a Bigs roster at some point, whether it's a bench piece or not.
Yeah.
Well,
I think I think those guys are all rosterable, and I do like the Phillies lineup. I'm thinking we're probably going to be fighting them for the division. It's going to be a dogfight between us and the Braves and the Phillies this year. So I think Boehm is going to be right in the middle of that lineup, driving in a ton of runs. Yeah, he doesn't hit the home run totals that you would want to see out of a third baseman. We've talked about a lot of dudes who are hitting 25 and plus home runs. He only hit 15 last year, but he's also another young guy, and maybe a step forward could be coming for him where the 44 doubles could turn into 35 doubles and we get 25 homers. And then we're looking at a guy that probably is undeniably in the top 10, top 12 of third base.
Yeah.
Our number 14 third baseman this year. We talked about a lot on the second base show, so go back and check that out. This is Jordan Westburg. We talked quite a bit about him. We love him in Baltimore. We like him for a breakout this year. So go check out that show. We'll move on to our number 15. And this guy is all over the map, honestly. Our number 15, I have it 13. Frank has it 18. Jason has it 12. And Mike is in agreement with me at 13. This is Nolan Arenado. And what is going to happen with this guy? Why are we kind of out on a dude that has been a staple of this position for years? Frank, I'll start with you because I know you have a very strong opinion about Nolan Arenado.
I think he's declining, and he's 33, and he's going to be 34 mid-season or in the beginning of the season, and he's got 3 more years on his contract, and he's got nobody. I mean, all the young kids besides Brendan Donovan, he's got no one.
He's got no friends.
He's got no friends, and this is what happens. I mean, he's great defensively, but I don't see, I don't see the 38 and 110, 41 and 118 from, Colorado. I mean, yeah, 34 and 105 his first season in 21, 30 and 103. It's just gone down consistently. And he's playing the same amount of games, if not more.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah, he played
being there with
152
Goldschmidt was
year.
terrible. Wasn't I don't think was good for him. And he's not the guy that's going to carry a team anymore. Him and Wilson Contreras, like, okay, great, good job. But yeah, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I think if he gets traded, it's going to be even worse. And I don't think anybody wants to take on that contract out of, for somebody to play for them until he's 37. Like, I just don't see it. I don't like the age. I don't like him. I don't like it at all.
The walk to strikeout ratio is about the only thing that is a redeeming quality here. 14.5% strikeout rate, but a 272 batting average, 325 on base, and 16 homers with 71 RBIs last year. Yeah, the decline may be coming. Tell me why we're wrong here, Jason.
Look, I don't think you're wrong. I think that he's definitely on the decline. But I'm not as out on the Cardinals lineup as everybody else is. I think there is still some potential in this lineup, specifically the guys in front of him, according to roster resource, Wilson Contreras and Brendan Donovan. Contreras had a 380 on base last year. Brendan Donovan had a 342 on base. So these guys are on base ahead of Arenado. There's opportunities for him to drive these guys in. Look, if we're going on track record, we can say that last year was a bit of an anomaly. Are we going to get the 35 and 120 RBIs? No, those days are done. But I think we're going to see something better than what we saw last year. I think there's still something left in him. He's 34, so there's not going to be a whole lot. But I don't think that we've seen the end of him yet. So I still have some potential for him.
Mike, how are you feeling on this guy?
Yeah, it's tough. It really is a tough call. I think that there is something intangible. I hate to be the intangible guy nonstop, but I didn't really see the passion and drive last year. I think he wasn't really playing for much last year. So I have to politely disagree with you, Frank. If he goes somewhere where I think he can compete for a title or he has something to play for, like I see some of the qualities in him that I see in Chris Bryant, someone who got a big deal, who was an awesome hitter, and then the team kind of sucked, and then he just threw in the towel. I don't know if that's the case with Arenado, but I'd like to see him on a contender to see what he can do.
So a landing spot like Boston would be good for him.
Yeah. I think so. I think so.
Would a landing spot like Houston have been a good spot for him, given that he turned down the opportunity to move there this year?
Well, I think Houston will contend more than St. Louis will. So
yeah, okay, all right. Our number 16 third baseman is my number 18, and I hate that I have him this low, but like I can't seem to get him any higher than this right now. Frank has him at number 11. Jason, you've got him at 17 and Mike at 15. It's Tampa Bay's Junior Caminero. I think this is one of the kids that everybody's looking at as the next big third baseman that's going to be involved in the top 10 for years to come. But we can't just put our finger on it yet. Frank, you've got him at 11. You like Junior Caminero. Tell me why.
I like his age. I mean, it's 21. I mean, and again, that Tampa lineup is awful. And, somebody's got to do something. I mean, he's young, he's developing. I agree that he's going to be a lot higher in years to come. But I mean, in 165 at bats, I'll take what he gave, 248 and a 299. Like, again, late round, very very Jackson Merrill-ish, if you want to use that comparison. It's a flyer, but I think he's going to be really good. And again, somebody's got to be really good in that lineup, and they can't just rest on Yandy Diaz's shoulders.
It's a good point. Junior Caminero, Mike Haber, how are you feeling about this dude this year?
Yeah, I owned him last year, so it was a little bit of a mixed bag. Just kind of waiting for him to find his groove. What I don't like about Caminero well, you know how I feel about Tampa Bay hitters, but the second thing I don't like about Caminero is his splits against righties and lefties. And there's a lot of right-handed pitchers in that division and across baseball, majority of them, and he doesn't bat very well against righties. He tends to strike out a lot. I think he's hitting 100 points less against righties than against lefties, which is a pretty significant split. So again, I'd like to see more from him. I don't disagree with what Frank is saying about his future and his potential, but as a previous owner of Caminero, I need to see more before I would go ahead and draft him this year.
Jason, how are you feeling about Caminero going into his age 21 season?
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is like, we've seen 50 games from him in the big leagues. 50.
Mhm.
That's to call that a small sample size would be an understatement. But obviously the talent is there, the potential is there. He's 21 years old. If this was a keeper league, I'd probably move him. I'd be moving him up. But
Mhm.
on a redraft league, I feel more comfortable going after the guys who are more established that have a track record that I know what I can expect from. He is hitting roster report has him hitting third in the lineup, which is a nice spot. But
Mhm.
again, this lineup is not great anyway, so it's kind of like a hit or miss. So I have him at 17. If he's around in the late in the late rounds, I take a flyer on him, but I'm not gonna overspend for this kid.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like we're going to be owning Junior Caminero this year. Frank's probably got the lock, stock, and barrel on that one. Who are the 1 and 2 in that order? Yandy Diaz and who?
Brandon Lau.
Brandon Lau. See, I like Brandon Lau. I like Brandon Lau hitting second there.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind that. We shall see.
And then Josh Lowe and Danny Jansen behind him.
And
Gross.
Christopher Morel.
Gross.
Ugh.
That's gross.
Jonathan Aranda, Johnny DeLuca, Taylor Walls. Ring your bell at all? No?
They all ring a bell, but they're not good.
Well, the other thing I like about him is they're going to be playing in a minor league ballpark this year,
Mhm.
so it'll give him the opportunity to like. I mean, I know it's not the same, but hey, here you go. Without taking a trip back to the minors, you might as well play in the minors for 162 games.
Yeah.
You
I
know what
don't
I
think
mean?
I don't think the Rays are going to compete this year. I think they're going to be probably a third or fourth place team in the AL East, but they are playing at Yankee Stadium South, and this kid could take advantage of some really interesting dynamics of hitting in that ballpark.
Mm-hmm.
Our number 17 third baseman we talked about on the first base show. It's Isaac Paredes. We certainly do like him in Houston, and go back and take a listen to the first base show. We'll talk more about him. We also talked about our number 18 third baseman on that show as well in Jake Berger. If anybody's got anything to drop in on the cheeseburger, now is the time.
Just some pickles.
Bacon.
Just some
30
pickles,
30 and 100.
bacon, 30 and 100 from Frank on Jake Berger this year. And that'll bring us to our number 19 guy, who is my number 20, Frank's number 19, Jason's number 20, and Mike's number 21. We all have him right about this spot. It's Josh Young of the Texas Rangers. I think we all took a look at the Texas Rangers last year and said that was a World Series hangover. Perhaps this year we're going to see much more of a step forward from a lot of their young kids, including Josh Young. Mike Haber, I'll start with you since you're at 21 with him. What do you expect from Josh Young this year?
Oh, I thought you meant my age for a second.
Yeah.
That would have been nice. Yeah, no, I like Texas's lineup this year. I think that you kind of hit the nail on the head there, Joe, in that a lot of these young players didn't perform or they were injured. And this is a guy that was injured and it was a wrist injury. So that's one thing that scares me a little bit is Josh Young going to display the type of power that he showed in, he hit a good amount of home runs when he first came up. But wrist injuries are tricky, and I hope that he can get his power back because I do like Texas's lineup this year. So for me, it's just that injury question.
Yeah, wrist injuries are finicky. They can zap power, and I've got this dude in the dynasty league. I hope that he bounces back very nicely here in 2025. That will conclude all 19 of the guys that we agreed on in our top 25. There were 2 names that were in 3 lists and not in one other one. So I'm going to ask Jason Ashby, what's wrong with Connor Norby?
So he's on my just miss list. And spoiler alert, he's my sleeper pick for the season.
Okay.
I just hate the Marlins. I think he's probably gonna be the best hitter in that Marlins lineup. But I just need to see more from him to actually get him cracked into the top 25. But I think the potential is absolutely there.
Yeah, he was my number 25 for the record, so it's not like I'm huge on him either. I think the Marlins are going to be absolutely dog shit, but this guy was a pretty big piece to get from the Orioles last year, and I think he's good for playing time. So
Yeah.
we'll see what he's capable of this year. Mike Haber, the other one belongs to you. We talked about this guy in the second base show, but I do want to get your thoughts since you weren't there with us. What's wrong with Luis Rengifo?
Oh, nothing. I honestly, I struggled with the bottom of this list. These are all guys I don't want on my team. So, uh, they're to me the cliff, the cliff is probably at like number 19 for me. And then it was like picking and choosing from a list of players that I'll never draft. So I don't think there's anything wrong with Luis Rengifo. I think he was doing it. He was actually having a great season last year, if I remember correctly, and then he got hurt. But he's someone that is going to be a product of whatever the Angels can produce around him. So that's really the only fear I have on him.
Yeah, I feel like his value is directly correlated to how many games Mike Trout is capable of playing this year. Because if he's going to be the leadoff hitter and Mike Trout's going to hit second or third in that lineup, he's going to be on base for him. Let's just hope he can score, somewhere in the neighborhood of 80 or 90 runs, and then he's something valuable.
Yes.
Any questions from you guys about somebody that may be on your list that we didn't touch on?
I'm going to bring up Joey Ortiz.
Okay.
Because I have him number 18.
You're the only one who ranked him.
Yeah. And look, I mean, the Orioles traded him away for Corbin Burns. So he's a big time prospect. He came up last year, wasn't great. 11 homers, 60 RBIs in 142 games. A 329 on base was pretty nice. He's gonna be an everyday guy in that Brewers lineup. I don't know what I'm missing. What's wrong with Joey Ortiz?
The one thing I'll say is you described somebody else, a top prospect who was traded for a star player who had an opportunity to play every day for a winning team. You know who you just described? Ahmed Rosario. Okay, until he does it, I can't necessarily believe that this is going to be something. I want to believe in it. I hope the Brewers believe in it. I think he's going to play short this year, to be honest. They're going to move him over there. So,
but he has the eligibility, and that's the thing. He has multiple eligibility, third base and shortstop. Yeah, I don't know. I'm cautiously optimistic. Again, I have him at 18, so I'm not in love with the kid. But at 26 years old, I think this is the time where he's gonna, if he's gonna take off, it's gonna be now.
Yeah. The only one I'll bring up that was only on my list and not on any of yours was Ryan McMahon. Ryan McMahon is still the guy in Colorado, and it's Colorado. He strikes out a ton. Doesn't really walk all. Well, he walks a pretty decent amount. He was top 5 at the position with 69 walks this past year. Hit 20 homers, scored 68 runs. I mean, they're not going to score a ton in Colorado somehow, but this guy could be viable, right?
69 walks, because who else are you scared of facing in that lineup?
Chris Bryant decided he doesn't want to play. So,
yeah. Okay, so McMahon's not viable. I should drop him down. Very well.
he's viable. I rostered him. He works.
All right. Let's get to sleepers, breakouts, and busts. Frank, I'm going to start with you. Who is your sleeper at third base this year?
My sleeper at third base, I believe, I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be Royce Lewis.
Okay. Royce Lewis for a sleeper season. He's going to finally stay healthy and do some amazing things. Mike Haber, who do you have as your sleeper?
I think I'm going with Matt Shaw.
Yeah.
Nice. That's mine too.
All right. There you go. I love the looks of this kid in the minors. Who's blocking his path right now? And
nobody,
right?
Nobody.
Okay.
Nobody.
So
he's the guy right now.
He's the guy.
Unless they decide to sign Bregman or something like that, but no, it's him.
Yeah, so I like his makeup, just like, some of his metrics. And yeah, I think the Cubs are going to be kind of like suspiciously fun this year, So
Mhm.
I'm into
Across
it.
2 levels last year, he hit 284 with a 379 on base percentage, 21 homers, 71 RBIs, and 78 runs scored. So yeah, this kid could certainly come up, take the third base job for the Chicago Cubs, and run with it. Jason, do you have the same sleeper?
So I had a few. Matt Shaw is one of them. Connor Norby is another. Another name I'll throw out is Jace Young of the Tigers. Assuming that the Tigers don't sign Alex Bregman, he's going to be the third baseman of the Tigers with that fun young lineup around him. Look out for Jace Young. I like him.
Okay. Breakout candidate here. Jason, I'll start with you on this one. Who's your breakout candidate?
That's going to be Royce Lewis. This guy's going to stay healthy. We're going to see 145 games, and he's going to hit 25 to 30 home runs. Watch.
Okay. Bank on it. Mike Haber, who do you have as your breakout?
Mark Vientos.
Yes.
I see.
Okay.
I see 40, 100 coming for over a full season. So I'm into
From
it.
your lips.
40.
40.
40.
Could see it. I could see it.
A lot of home runs.
Yep.
Frank, who do
I'm
you
on
have
that
as your
same
breakout
train.
candidate?
I'm on that same train. I see it
Mark
happening.
Vientos.
As much as it makes me sick to say.
Wow, this coming from,
I
from a
will.
Braves and a Yankees fan. This is fun.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was not my answer to the question either. I have Junior Caminero as the breakout here. I think he's going to do really good things in the minor league ballpark. I'm on board with Frank of feeling somebody's got
Yeah, I
to do
want to
something in
change
Tampa.
my sleeper to Junior Caminero because, yeah, I mean, Royce Lewis, I like him, but I think Caminero is gonna be a good sleeper.
Okay. Let's start with our bust here, Frank. Who do you have as your bust?
Nolan Arenado.
Yes, I'm in agreement.
Hardcore. Let's go.
Let's go. Jason Ashby, who do you have as your bust this year?
I'm gonna go. I'm going back and forth between two guys. I'm gonna go with Manny Machado because I do think we're gonna start seeing a bit of a decline, and the draft value that he's going to command still is going to be a bit high. And again, there are flags starting to pop up around him that the bottom half of that Padres lineup is not good. So I'm not saying I'm out on him. I just don't think that you're going to get the return on what you're going to have to draft him at this year.
Okay. Fair enough. Mike Haber, who do you have as your bust?
Matt Chapman.
Oh boy.
He was my other one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't buy it. I don't buy into it this year, but we'll see.
All right. Well, we will have to wait and see. Guys, thank you so much for being here with me this evening. Jason Ashby, thank you so much, my friend.
Absolutely. This is fun. I look forward to this every year, and it only just keeps getting better. So, yeah, it's always fun.
Frank Bucco, we appreciate you being here, my friend. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. I appreciate you guys having me and just doing this. It's a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Mike Haber, sticking it out through the COVID symptoms. We appreciate you being here, my friend.
Yes. Thanks so much for having me. We got 2.5, 3 weeks until pitchers and catchers. So getting psyched.
Next week, we will be talking about shortstop. We'll be doing this again on Sunday night. So let's get those shortstop rankings in and let's get an aggregate and talk about them next week, boys. Thank you so much for listening and watching. Until next time, guys, it's been real, it's been fun, and it is always real fun in the bigs. We'll see you next time.